Hello, and welcome to the EverMotion training DVD about car modeling. In this tutorial, we will learn how to model a realistic car. In the first few chapters, I will focus on the modeling methods and show you step by step how you should start to build the geometry of the model. And next, we will show you some tips that will allow you to make more realistic cars in the future. All textures needed in this tutorial can be found on the DVD in the folder called Textures. The first step we need to take is by putting the blueprints into our scene. So we create a plane object in the top view. Always change the value of our segments to 1. This is so we may see our texture more clearly. Great, now that we've got our plane made, we need to open the material editor and put a bitmap in the diffuse slot. This will be our texture. We need to choose the image we want to use, and what is important, we need to check the resolution of our image. You will see that this will help us a lot. When we assign the blueprint to the plane and make it visible in the viewports, you can see that it doesn't quite match the plane. This is easy to correct. We just need to type the resolution of the texture to match the size of the plane. So in the length parameter we type 325, and in the width we put 767. Now it's perfect without any deformations, just like it should be. Once we have completed that, we need to repeat this operation 3 times for all the other blueprints. So we create a plane in the right view, which will be the side of our car. The value of the segments is correct, so we go to the material editor. We can do this by pressing the M key on the keyboard. And in the editor, we choose a free slot and load a new image in the diffuse slot. Again, we need to check the resolution of it. Remember to press the icon with the white and blue cube in the main material editor window. Without this, you will not be able to see the texture in the max viewports. Now let's adjust the size. Our resolution was 252 to 668. Okay, now on to the next blueprint. We will create a new plane in the back viewport, which will represent the rear of our car. Once we've done this, we'll do the same work with the textures in the material editor. We know this can get a little bit annoying, but you just have to do it a few times. It is very important to model the car with the correct blueprints. And now that we've got the texture into our scene, the last step is to rescale it. Now go ahead and adjust your resolution values in the properties window as we did before, and then we will move on to the next step. The last blueprint we will make is the front side of the car. So first of all, we need to change the viewport to the front view and create a plane in this view. Great. Once you've got that completed, we can move on. The next step is to assign the texture. Fortunately, this is our last visit into the material editor. To be honest, this is not exactly the best part of modeling. Once we've got our texture into our scene, this plane we will need to rescale as well. 255 is the length value and 315 is the value of the width. Great. Once you have those values adjusted, let's move on. Now, the next step is to position our blueprints and check to make sure that everything is okay with them. And most importantly, do they match each other? Before that, I will switch all viewports from wire to smooth and highlights. You can do this by pressing the F3 key. By pressing the G key, you can turn the grids on and off. I simply don't like them. They confuse me, so I'll make them invisible. Our next step is that we need to rotate the top blueprint exactly 90 degrees. As you can see, it would be very hard using just the rotate tool. So we need to turn on our angle snap toggle. Thanks to this, we can rotate objects for concrete angles. Now all planes have good position, but sometimes the size of each blueprint is incorrect. Now I will check my blueprints to see does the top blueprint match the side. To do this, I will have to position the side blueprint in the center of the top blueprint. I will go ahead and make my minor adjustments that I need to make. Now I have to move it back just a little bit. Okay, now move it down, and as you can see, it's a little bit smaller, so we need to rescale it. I will select my rescale tool and rescale the car so that it is proportional to the rest of the car. And once I've rescaled it, I'll move our side blueprint up and down a little bit just to check last minute points on here to make sure that the roof matches with the windshield right here. We see that that looks okay. And the roof is looking good, so we'll move on. Now that everything looks good, we'll move on to the next spot, which will be the front of the car. As you can see, the mask in the front window on the top blueprint compare to this same element on the side blueprints, so we scaled them correctly. Now I will position the front blueprint. Now that I have the front blueprint selected here, I'm going to go through like we did the side view and check to make sure that it's all in proportion to the rest. It's very important that we have this so that our car comes out the most realistic that it can be in size of proportion. So we're going to check the hood here, and that looks good. Everything is looking okay. with the front design of the car. So now we're going to take this, once we've sized it all up, and we'll move it out of the way here so that it's out of the way when we're doing the actual modeling of the car. Okay, now we're going to move along onto the back of the car, and we're going to move that up, and once again just go through like we're doing here. Let's check this. That's looking okay. Move it back, and we'll check a little bit the back of the car. Make sure, just one more time, you want to make sure that each of your blueprints come out okay. We're going to adjust that a little bit, and that's looking a little bit better. And go through, check each one, recheck it, and once you get that done, you won't have to fool with them much more in the modeling process. And when you're finished that, we'll move it out of the way here to the front, just like we did the front of the car, and so it doesn't disturb us in the modeling process.